Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Jared Pratt, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is leading aircraft woman Meja Zhang. We warmly welcome the family of Private Dennis Grimwood, whose story will be told shortly. We also welcome the delegation representing 1 Recruit Training Unit, Course 13 of the Royal Australian Air Force Base, Wagga. As always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those who are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony from across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's first World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through until the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Dennis Grimwood. Dennis Grimwood was born on the 1st of May, 1910, in Cardiff, Wales, the son of Charles and Catherine Grimwood. The Grimwood family immigrated to Australia in 1926, eventually becoming established in Western Australia. Dennis' father died in 1932, and by 1936, Dennis was involved in mining in Kalgoorlie. The following year, he married Phyllis Moody in Perth, and the pair made a home in Westonia, a small town in the eastern Whitbelt of Western Australia. Dennis Grimwood enlisted for service in the Second World War on the 17th of September, 1941. After a period of leave in early November 1941, he undertook training, and towards the end of the month, transferred to reinforcements to the 2nd 16th Battalion. After a period of pre-embarkation leave, Grimwood was transferred to Rottnest Detail. Rottnest Island, located off the coast of Western Australia, west of Fremantle, was a popular destination known for its population of quokkas, a small marsupials found in very few other locations. But the island was declared a prohibited area in June 1940, and all recreational activities stopped. The declaration was intended to last for 3 months, but continued for 5 years. Rottnest had been the site of internment camps in the First World War, and during the early years of Second World War, a camp near the airstrip was used to house Italian enemy aliens. 2 guns were installed near the middle of the island at Oliver Hill, and 2 smaller guns at Bickley Port, intended for the defense of Fremantle Port. A light railway was built from the jetty to transport material and munitions to the guns. Concrete lookouts and bunkers were also built around the island, and the barracks and the railway became known as the Rottnest Island Fortress. Private Grimwood had a relatively uneventful time at Rottnest. He was taken sick on a couple of occasions and was admonished for being in possession of 4 bottles of beer. But the likely threat to Australia was now seen as being to the north, and the fixed defenses at Rottnest were reduced. In August 1942, Grimwood was transferred to reinforcements to the 2nd 28th Battalion. After a period of leave, he embarked at Fremantle in early September, arriving in the Middle East in October, and joined his unit in early November. The 2nd 28th had taken heavy casualties in North Africa. During the First Battle of El Alamein in July, the battalion had taken Ruin Ridge before being cut off and surrounded. The majority of the battalion was forced to surrender, and of those who participated in the attack, only 92 men remained. The 2nd 28th had been withdrawn and rebuilt, and was back on the front line by September. In early 1943, the decision was made to bring the 9th Division, which included the 2nd 28th Battalion, back to Australia to take part in the fighting against the Japanese in the Pacific. Reorganized for jungle operations, the battalion took part in the amphibious landing at Reed Beach, northwest of Lae, in early September. Lae fell sooner than the Allies had anticipated. By the 8th of September, the commander of the Japanese 51st Division had given the order for all his forces and those in Lae to begin their withdrawal. The 2nd 28th Infantry Battalion attempted to run a cable across the Booth River, which had become flooded and dangerous after 3 days of heavy rain. This first soldier to make the crossing was killed on the opposite bank by a squad of Japanese. Focus was shifted to the mouth of the river, where a small central island could provide cover. Covered by mortars and heavy machine guns, the men fixed the bayonets and advanced in complete lots, with the men strung out in extended line. The Japanese opened up with their own mortars and machine guns from well-concealed positions on the opposite bank. 13 Australians drowned in the crossing, while dozens more were swept away and had to be rescued by the troops from neighboring units. Nevertheless, the second 28th pushed through, subsequently securing a beachhead on the opposite bank. The following day, Private Dennis Grimwood was posted as missing in action, believed killed. Eventually, he was reported as having been killed in action on the 9th of September, 1943. He was 33 years old. With no known grave, today his name appears on the Lay Memorial, which commemorates over 300 men who lost their lives in operations in the area. His name is listed on the Roll of Honor on my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Dennis Grimwood, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
If able, please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere, or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director and staff, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.